I love a good time trial. Games like Mario Kart, Crash Bandicoot, and the recently released Neon White, which, if you haven't played, you definitely should, wonderfully implement this feature and make it a part of the core experience. You take a pretty standard video game level and entice gamers to experiment, pushing the game to its limits. But recently, a game I honestly never expected to find time trials in surprised me. Kirby, yes, Kirby, was given its own set of time trials in Kirby in the Forgotten Land. So today, I'm going to conquer every single one of them. I'm Flapjack, and I'm trying to 100% every single Kirby game in its storied history. We are still at 0 fully completed, but that's fine, as today we're going to make some progress. If you watched my last video, you would know I created a simple checklist of 4 things to do in Kirby in the Forgotten Land in order to consider the game fully completed. We took on the first challenge, which was to finish the Ultimate Cup Z. That leaves us with 3 things left to do. Complete every time trial, save every Waddle Dee, and collect every figure in the game. Today, we're going to take on that second challenge. No, this isn't a summoning salt video, but we are going to be going pretty fast. Treasure roads were a really fun side attraction throughout the main game. Normally, you could just blitz through every standard level with whichever copy ability was your favorite. As a kid, I'd always pick Sword, as it made me feel cool, and Kirby looked like Link from The Legend of Zelda, which is my favorite video game franchise. Treasure roads, however, force you to interact with mechanics in new ways. They appear in the hub world after certain unlock conditions are met, which is either saving a certain number of Waddle Dees or by actually going out there and finding it yourself. Treasure roads are simple obstacle courses designed to let the player experiment with the mechanics of a given ability. Every level centers around a specific one, whether it be a normal copy ability, a mouthful mode, or an evolved ability. Some are puzzles, some are combat focused, it really is a mixed bag. You have a time limit, which can either be decently forgiving or the worst thing ever. When you complete a level for the first time, you receive a rare stone, so completing every treasure road is essential if you want to evolve every single copy ability in the game. Now, you would think that would be enough for me, just going through all the levels, collecting every rare stone, and moving on with my life, but no. When you complete a level, you see a target time, a true time trial. And if there's a box, I must have that check mark. If previous time restrictions were already tight, then these may prove to be a bit more difficult. But a challenge is a challenge, and I'm ready to take it on. So, what are some basic things to know? Well, Kirby is actually pretty slow. Just running is fine if you want to beat the normal times, but if you want to beat the target time, it just won't cut it. By constantly sliding into a jump, Kirby can kick that pace up. Also, going out of your way to defeat enemies is just gonna slow you down. So you should probably just ignore them. I started off in Natural Plains. I only had a few time trials to complete here and just started it off with the Bomb trial. It only has a 1-star difficulty, so doing this shouldn't be too hard. Oh. Difficulty isn't really a factor in the time trials because, as one would expect, a shorter, easier level has less room for potential error, making the target time much tighter. Longer levels tend to be way more lenient, which made them actually way easier to clear in comparison. Most of the early trials weren't actually too difficult, with the exception of the Cone Mouth trial, which took me a few tries, but with some determination, I watched as my best time rapidly improved. Just like that, the first batch of trials was completed, putting me at 7 out of the 57 total trials completed. I'd take a break and then pick it up the next day. Moving on to the next day, the levels began to get a little harder. I was making steady progress, but every once in a while, a level would actually just stump me for a good handful of minutes. I'm specifically referencing this one drill trial, which really messed me up. I thought I was getting faster each time, but whenever I finished, I was met with nothing but disappointment. That was when I had a great idea. I rushed to the shop and picked up the speed boost. For only 150 star coins, I was granted 200 seconds of increased speed. The difference is very noticeable, and as most levels weren't going to last all too much longer than a minute, it seemed like a no-brainer. There were 2 issues with this tactic, however. If I was to always have a boost active, it wouldn't be cheap. At this point, I'm not really sure how many star coins I'm going to need to collect every figure, so I want to make sure I have a solid stockpile of cash. Also, it just takes a long time to buy the boosts, and I want to make as many of these videos as possible. Waiting to buy a bunch just isn't time efficient. To see this flaw, look no further than the majority of the puzzle-based trials. These trials are very much just learning the optimal solution and don't always require too much precision. I stocked up on a ton of speed boosts and ultimately wasted them all just because I wasn't sure which stair to move first. So from here on out, I was only going to buy speed boosts when absolutely necessary. Of course, I used it to complete that stupid drill trial. Going into day 3, I had 3 areas left to go. You'd think that all I would need to do now was just blitz through the trials, but well, you see this? I couldn't access all of the treasure roads just yet, as I didn't have all of the copy abilities fully evolved. Should I have done that in preparation? Probably, but not doing it also gives me extra content. I ran over to the wise Waddle Dee, who not only knows of an upcoming Paddington game, but where I can find some hidden scrolls. I listened to his words, and went on a quick collectathon. Now, with every copy ability unlocked, it was time to take on the rest of the trials. At this point, I'd gotten used to the general pacing, which allowed me to fly through the rest. It typically only took 1 or 2 tries to beat the target time, so I don't really have too much to say. Just like that, there were only 3 left. Multi-mouth is a fun way to test the player's mastery of mouthful mode, but ultimately wasn't all too difficult. What was difficult for some reason was the Masked Hammer trial. Waves of enemies were always difficult for me to defeat fast, as I was much better at the platforming aspect of the game. I definitely got a little frustrated, but with some determination, I figured it out. Now, there was only 1 treasure road left, Morphinite's Sword. This is also a wave-based trial, but with waves of mini-bosses. I actually ended up dying once, but in terms of doing things fast enough, this was by far the easiest trial. So, that does it. I completed all 56 trials. Wait a minute. 7 out of the 57 total trials completed. I was missing a treasure road. In great Flapjack fashion, I missed something. I scrolled through the list of treasure roads and couldn't find anything. What could I have possibly missed? I decided to consult Google. It turns out, Winter Horns actually has 10 trials. 1 more than the 9 it was showing me. It turns out, I was just a few Waddle Dees away from unlocking the 10th treasure road. So, I jumped into some levels, saved some Ds, and the 57th treasure road was unlocked. I don't have much to say about it. It was very easy. So, for real this time, I completed all 57 trials. I have to say, it was pretty fun. Going for all of the target times definitely made the experience a lot more rewarding, as it added a genuine layer of difficulty to it all. In total, this challenge clocked in at just around 4.5 hours. So, what's the reward? Well, by completing all the treasure roads, I was able to get enough rare stones to unlock all of the copy abilities, which in turn allowed me to unlock all of the treasure roads. I also got a new figure, which of course pushes us just a little bit closer to completing the game. But what about the reward for besting every target time? Well, you get to play as Luigi. Just kidding, it's absolutely nothing. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, a like would let me know and help me continue doing what I'm doing. We're almost done with completing Kirby and the Forgotten Land, so yeah, subscribe if you want to see the conclusion. Thanks again. Have a good one.